Has this ever happened to you? You give him your warmth, your softness, your infinite yes. You become available, present, giving, and he pulls away. You watch him slip through your fingers like sand, as if the more you reach, the less of him you can hold. But what if the very act of chasing is what steals your power? What if the woman who waits, who leans back into her queendom, who lets him come to her, is the one who truly owns his heart? In every man's psyche, there is a hunter, a seeker, a wanderer, not merely of flesh, but of meaning, of challenge, of beauty that does not ask for attention, but commands it. He is not drawn to the woman who waits at the edge of his path, begging for breadcrumbs. He is magnetized by the woman who is on her throne, radiant and sovereign, with no need to prove her worth. He does not fall in love with the woman who needs him. He falls in love with the one who knows she does not. This is not a game. It is not strategy. It is archetypal law. The animus, the masculine soul image within the woman, seeks strength, resolve, direction. But in distortion, it becomes anxious pursuit. It becomes the girl who calls, who waits by the phone, who twists herself into softness, hoping to be chosen. That is not divine femininity. That is exile from the self. She has been taught again and again that love is something to earn, affection is a prize for good behavior, and presence is a reward for sacrifice. But she is not here to be chosen. She is here to choose. In the deepest layers of the male unconscious, a man falls in love when he is allowed to rise, when he's not pressured to be present but inspired to return, when her silence is not punishment but a mirror that reflects his own longing, when she is not a storm chasing him but a moon that pulls the tide of his soul. To stop chasing is not to abandon love. It is to call forth the true nature of it. It is to stop projecting the absent father, the unavailable lover, the inner child scream onto the man who stands before you. When a man begins to fall for you truly, his energy changes. He notices the small things, your tone, your silence, your distance, because now it matters, because now your presence is not taken for granted, because now your absence is felt like a hollow echo in his chest. When he starts to orbit you, not because you pulled, but because you released, that is the mark. That is when something ancient in him awakens. Not every man will rise to meet the challenge of loving a woman who knows herself. Most will try to break her rhythm, to tame her wildness, to dilute her intensity. But the one who is ready, he will reorganize his life for her calm. He will not be frightened by her silence. He will seek to understand it. He will not resent her standards. He will rise to meet them, not because she demanded, but because her very being made him want to become more. So if he pulls back, let him. Do not chase a man whose soul has not yet heard your frequency. Let him go, not with resentment, but with reverence. The queen does not run after a retreating knight. She trusts that if he is hers, he will return not just in body, but in devotion. Your power is not in how tightly you can cling, but in how gracefully you can release. Not in how loud your longing becomes, but in how still you can remain. He is already falling when your absence makes him restless, when he starts to imagine your life without him, and it makes him ache. When he texts you not to get attention, but because he misses your essence. When he shows up not for a moment, but with consistency, with direction, with intention. That is when you will know. You no longer need to chase, because he has already arrived. Every woman carries within her the maiden, the mother, the enchantress, and the queen. And the queen, she does not pursue love. She commands it. But to become her, a woman must pass through fire. She must shed the skin of the pleaser, the prover, the girl who mistook attention for affection, who confused control with connection, who believed that love could be secured by effort alone. She must descend into the shadows of her own psyche to meet the ghosts of the past who whisper, "You're not enough unless he wants you. You're only worthy if he chooses you. You must do more or be left behind." And there, In that sacred darkness, she must choose herself. There is a moment in a woman's life when she realizes the chase is not romantic. It is traumatic. It is the echo of an old wound, the wound of neglect, of abandonment, of emotional starvation. It is the inner child reaching out for the unavailable father, the man who praised her only when she was useful, the man who vanished when she needed him to stay. So now, in her adult life, she repeats the same pattern. She gives and gives and gives until she is depleted, resentful, hollow, until she is running after someone who never asked to be caught. But the wise woman knows to chase a man is to abandon herself, to beg is to betray her soul, to contort herself into something easier to love is to exile her truth. Because the man who is truly falling in love, he doesn't need to be reminded of your worth. He feels it. He feels it when you smile without need, when you are content in your own presence, when you say no with softness but firmness, when you do not compete for his attention, because your attention is a gift, not a default. A man becomes obsessed with the woman who doesn't try to convince him, because she is not performing, she is not pleasing, she is being. And her being is enough. When a man begins to fall, he starts to crave your energy even when you're not giving it. He starts to show up, not because he feels guilty, but because he wants to be chosen by you. He studies you. He remembers what you like. He listens for what you don't say. He starts to wonder who you are when he's not around, and that mystery haunts him. This is the sacred reversal. He becomes the one who leans in, who texts first, who plans, who pursues, and not out of ego, but out of reverence, out of desire to earn his place beside you. But this only happens when the woman holds her center, when she stops managing, fixing, controlling, when she trusts in the unfolding, not as a passive doormat, but as a sovereign being who knows, if a man is not moving toward me, he is not for me. And that is not a tragedy. That is clarity. You were not made to be the architect of someone else's awakening. You were made to embody your truth so fully that those not aligned with it fall away, and those meant to meet you at your level recognize you instantly. The one who is falling for you will not create confusion. He will bring peace, not chaos. He will show up, not disappear, and you will feel it, not in your anxious thoughts, but in your nervous system. You will no longer feel the urge to chase because his presence will not require your pursuit. It will be consistent, voluntary, steady, because the man who is falling in love will want to hold what you never begged to give. There comes a moment in a woman's evolution when she realizes that her energy is currency. And not the kind that is handed out freely to prove her love, but the kind that is guarded, sacred, reserved for the few who can meet her in the deep. Not every man can hold the feminine in her fullness. The feminine is not cute. She is chaos and cosmos. She is storm and stillness. She is the river that carves through mountains with her softness. A man who is truly falling doesn't run from that. He kneels before it. He does not want the woman who runs after him, because on a soul level he cannot respect what is so easily given. It is not cruelty, it is psychological law. The masculine must earn the grail. It is his deepest myth, his sacred quest. And when the grail is handed to him without journey, without effort, he discards it, not out of disdain, but because he has not become worthy of it. You are not here to chase. You are here to remember. Remember the way you hold yourself when you are alone. The way your eyes soften when you're at peace. The way your body relaxes when you are not trying to be chosen. This is the essence that calls him home. Not your persuasion, not your pursuit, not your performance. When he starts falling, he becomes curious. Curious about the you that exists outside of his gaze. He wonders what makes you light up. He starts observing, not just reacting. He begins to value your opinion, not just your attention. He may not say it aloud, not at first, but his actions will whisper it, in the way he starts to make time, in the way he changes plans, in the way he starts using the word we instead of I. And if he doesn't, if his actions are inconsistent, his words confusing, if you find yourself checking your phone more than he checks in with you, then know this: he is not falling. He may like you, he may want you, he may even enjoy you, but that is not the same as being moved by you. When a man is moved, he moves toward you, not with excuses, but with presence. And if he doesn't, you do not need to run after him to become the woman he will fall for. You are already her. You have only forgotten. This forgetting happens when a woman has given too much for too little, when she has convinced herself that effort equals love, when she has been told that if she just shows him her heart, he will choose it. But the truth is, you never need to prove your heart to the right man. He will see it, he will cherish it, he will protect it, not because you asked, but because he knows its value. To stop chasing is not to close your heart, it is to open it, but only to those who come to honor it. Let him show up, let him wonder, let him miss you, let him initiate, let him rise. The queen does not flinch in waiting because she is never truly waiting. She is living, breathing, creating, becoming. And from this sacred ground she receives, not because she chased, but because she embodied the very love she once sought. There is a silence that speaks louder than any plea. It is the silence of a woman who has remembered who she is, not in anger, not in pride, but in profound soul-deep knowing. When she no longer texts to check in, no longer asks where she stands, no longer tries to decode his mixed signals, it is not because she has given up. It is because she has woken up. The chase ends the moment she realizes the feminine does not move toward. She draws in. She is the magnetic field, the pulse that beckons, the still center of 1,000 storms. And if a man cannot feel that pull, if he cannot respond to that current, then he is not attuned to her depth, and she has no desire to teach him how to swim, because when he begins to fall, he becomes restless in her absence. Her laughter echoes in his mind at odd hours. Her softness lingers on his skin, even when she is not near, and it is not her effort that haunts him. It is her essence. The man who is falling starts to realize he does not want to look for her elsewhere. He does not want to wonder who holds her now. He does not want her name to fade into the long list of could-have-beens. So he acts, not out of panic, but out of clarity. He moves closer. He commits, even in small ways. He shows up in the ordinary, because something about her makes even the mundane feel meaningful. And she does not rush to receive it. She does not leap into fantasy. She observes, because she has learned that consistency is the language of devotion. She knows now that attraction is not love, that interest is not investment, that words are wind unless they are followed by presence. So she watches. Does he return when life gets hard? Does he reach out without needing something from her? Does he protect the connection without her reminding him? She knows these signs now, not because she read them in a book, but because she lived the opposite. She chased ghosts once. She fed love with her own hunger. She confused attention for affection and fragments for the whole. But that version of her has died. And in her place stands a woman who no longer runs after men, because she has become the kind of woman men run toward. When a man begins to fall, he notices what is different about her. She does not demand, she expects. She does not explain her value. She embodies it. She does not fight for space. She is the space. And in her presence he feels both challenged and safe, seen and stretched, grounded and alive. This is what the unconscious masculine yearns for, a woman who does not try to be everything, but who simply is, unapologetically. It is her authenticity that disarms him. It is her self-possession that humbles him. It is her refusal to abandon herself that awakens something ancient in him, not the need to conquer, but the desire to serve, not from weakness, but from reverence. Because in the end, The man who is falling will show you. You will not need to guess. You will not need to shrink. You will not need to perform. You will feel it in the way he speaks your name, in the way he remembers what matters to you, in the way he listens without fixing and holds without gripping. This is the man who is not afraid of your light because he has faced his own shadows. And you no longer run toward those who cannot see you. You do not shout your worth across chasms of indifference. You do not chase. You wait, not in passivity, but in power. And that power is what draws the right one near, not as a savior, not as a prize, but as a mirror, a companion, a sovereign equal. O ChatGPT Disa, the deeper truth is this. Every time you chase, you train your nervous system to accept unavailability as normal. You teach your body to feel safe in uncertainty, to cling to potential, to survive on the crumbs of what should have been a feast. And eventually, you begin to believe that love is supposed to feel like this, an ache, a chase, a proving ground, but it isn't. Love, true love, begins where self-abandonment ends. And the woman who stops running after what does not come to meet her is the woman who begins to come home to herself. It is a sacred homecoming to the body, to the breath, to the deep feminine knowing that says, I do not chase, I choose. This choice changes everything, because when a man begins to fall in love with this kind of woman, he doesn't just admire her beauty, he fears losing her clarity, her serenity, her refusal to participate in emotional chaos. He knows he cannot manipulate her with absence. He knows she will not beg for affection. He knows that silence from him will not break her. It will only remove him. And this knowing, this energetic boundary, is what ignites his respect, his reverence, his devotion. Because deep within the masculine archetype lives the warrior, not a destroyer, but a protector, a builder, a force that longs to be given something worth serving. And when he encounters a woman who honors herself, she becomes that sacred cause. But make no mistake, this woman is not rare because she is exceptional. She is rare because she is sovereign, because she has done the brutal work of looking at her shadows, the part of her that confuses love with anxiety, the part that fears abandonment more than betrayal, the part that believes being chosen means being loved. She has sat with that little girl inside, the one who was once left, dismissed or forgotten, and she has told her, we don't have to chase anymore. That's the moment the spell breaks. That's when the loop ends. That's when the feminine returns to her throne. Not to be cold, not to play games, but to preside over her own life with grace and discernment. And so, when a man begins to fall for a woman like this, he knows it. Not in a loud, dramatic moment, but in the quiet realization that she is unlike anything he has known. He doesn't want to risk losing her energy, not because she pressures him, but because she doesn't. She lets go easily, lovingly, fully. She does not threaten departure, she embodies it, and that changes him, not out of fear, but out of revelation. He realizes she will not wait for him to decide. She will not orbit his inconsistency. She will not remain available to a man who is unavailable to himself. This clarity calls him forward, into presence, into choice, into the masculine role of initiation, protection, direction. And the feminine, in her fullness, receives, not from need, but from recognition, not from desperation, but from alignment. So let him fall, let him realize, let him act, and if he does not, bless him, release him. You do not need to stay in places where you are only half held. You are not here to be almost loved. You are here to be deeply seen, to be met in the full majesty of your essence, to be mirrored by a man who has done his own work. Because when he falls, truly, he won't make you wonder. He will make room in his life, in his heart, in his future, and you will know the difference. And now, beloved, we arrive at the sacred threshold, the place where the old story crumbles, the story where love is earned through sacrifice, where attention is currency and effort is identity, where the woman becomes smaller to fit into the narrow spaces a man is willing to offer. No more. The woman who no longer chases is not bitter. She is awakened. She has walked through fire. She has buried the girl who begged. She has mourned the loss of illusions. She has sat in rooms of silence, and in those rooms she has found herself again, not the version of herself that sought love from lack, but the one who remembers her origin, the one who knows she is whole. When a man truly falls in love with a woman like this, it changes him, because for the first time he meets a woman who does not collapse into him. She meets him eye to eye. She is his equal, not his escape. She does not beg to be chosen. She chooses. She does not lose herself in his desires. She honors her own. And she does not wait forever, because she knows that real love does not delay. It moves, it risks, it shows up. He falls in love not just with her beauty, but with her boundaries, with her courage to walk away from what dims her light, with her unwillingness to settle for half-hearted love. She is no longer the woman who asks, "Why hasn't he called? Did I do something wrong? Should I reach out one more time?" No, she is the woman who watches, who listens not to words, but to actions, who understands that desire is not devotion unless it becomes direction. And she gives only to those who are willing to meet her where she stands, not those who hope she will lower herself to fit their comfort zone. In the end, the man who is falling will not be afraid of her strength. He will feel safe in it. He will not try to dim her fire. He will learn to warm his hands by it. He will not be confused by her self-worth. He will be inspired by it, because he knows that love rooted in sovereignty is the only love that lasts. And if he's not there yet, let him go. Let him rise elsewhere. Let him meet his mirror in another story. You, radiant soul, have waited long enough, not for him, but for you, to come back to your power, to sit again on your throne, to stop pursuing the love you were always meant to receive. No more shrinking, no more convincing, no more performing. The woman who knows her worth doesn't chase, she chooses.